Welcome to Be My Guest. I'm your host, Steve Kriaris. This podcast is about the journey of entrepreneurship, the highs, the lows, the lessons, and the loyalty it takes to build something from the ground up. Enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast called Be My Guest with myself, your host, Steve Kriaris. I'm here today with a longtime friend and colleague, John Sotos. John, thank you for coming on the show today. We've known each other for now approximately, 30 years?
About that, yeah.
About 30 years.
Maybe more, mid-90s.
That's in the mid-90s, that's for sure. And
Your hair had a different color.
my hair was a different color, yes. Yeah, we had different
Mine
vibes. Yours too. We had different vibes going on back then. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, before we started Kolonaki Group, you had gotten me out of some legal trouble that I was in with Chit Chat, if you remember those days. Those were fun times. I had signed some contracts and then the deal fell through and you helped me get out of that mess that I was in. And besides helping me on a legal base, I know that for many years you've always been an advisor as well to what I've been doing, which has been really exciting. If you remember, we had talked about the Haagen-Dazs cafe idea back in the day, and you advised me that since we only have 3 months of summer, this may not be a good idea for you to do an ice cream concept in Canada. So that didn't go well. And then we tried to do the goodies at some point to get the goodies onto the Danforth, back in the days when the Danforth was a really big place to be. But Goody's plans, you had said, were only for Eastern Europe at the time, to expand into Eastern Europe. And then along came the bright idea of importing Aioli water. And I remember coming to you that morning and saying, John, I've got this idea. And I brought you a bottle of Aioli sparkling water, but this is the brand here. And you kind of said, let me get back to you and let you know what your thoughts are on this. And that's how it all kind of began with Aioli in 1999, back then. What were your thoughts when I brought the water to you back then?
If I remember correctly, I certainly liked the product, and I've been a customer ever since.
Yes, that's true.
Both at
Thank you
home
for that.
and at the office. But my thought was that water alone wasn't enough to sustain a business.
And you're right. And you're right about that, that's for sure.
And you've obviously ventured off to source and distribute some products that are very close to my heart, and you've done well for yourself.
Thank you.
You've done well for the promotion of the better or fine Greek wine products in Canada.
Thank you.
Because prior to that, there was no one bringing in better Greek wines into this market. It was basically all the entry-level wines that the house wines for restaurants.
Yeah.
And Retsina.
Yeah. Some bad Retsina as well.
So you've actually helped promote the industry in Canada, not only to the diaspora but also to fine dining establishments, all over the place.
Yeah, which has definitely been an interesting ride, to say the least. I mean, if I remember early on, back in '99, you had negotiated my first ever contract for me with Athenian Breweries to bring in Aioli water back then. So what's it like from a legal standpoint when you deal with overseas companies and you request contracts from them?
Well, it depends on the jurisdiction that the producer is based in. And also their sophistication. I find that civil law countries, of which Greece is one, have a different contracting style. But I and the firm has been doing work with global companies pretty much all of our existence. So there were no surprises.
Okay.
So we knew what they wanted, knew why they wanted it, and we also need what we needed. I knew what we needed.
Got it.
And basically,
which I didn't know at the time. That's for sure. I had no idea.
Yeah. So we asked, and they were quite reasonable on the contract. Well, they were a far more sophisticated supplier because they were owned by a more sophisticated parent.
Heineken Group,
Exactly.
Parent company.
So, they're a very sophisticated global organization that has done what you were doing or does what you were doing probably 1,000 times a day
Yes, that's for sure.
all
That's
over the
about right.
world.
That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, in those days, things were very different in the market as well. Uh, how important is it for people to be, I want to say, legally bound or legally protected when it comes to this industry that we're all in, or in any industry for that matter?
Well, yeah, you have to have the only asset you have when you represent a brand is the legal rights that the brand gives you.
Okay. Yeah.
That's your asset. So, but if it's a brand that's not known in the market, as most of the brands that you introduce to the market, then you need to have an agreement that's long enough to allow you to capture your costs of introducing the brand into the marketplace, because you don't want to, spend all the money and effort to introduce a brand and then somebody else comes along, for a slightly better economic arrangement and then yanks it from you.
Yes.
So,
which I know has happened over the years with a few suppliers.
It always happens, but that's why you need to have as strong an agreement as you can that you can negotiate at the time you're doing business, so that you've got the rights, so that you can recapture your upfront investment. It's really an economic arrangement.
Of course. And I'll never forget in the beginning, I never really factored in, as you call them, startup costs, I guess, to build a brand. The startup costs of building a brand like Aioli. And 2000, 2001, 2002, I was losing my shirt every year, and I couldn't make matters any better financially until we brought in the Alpha beer, which was our second SKU at the time. And that kind of helped me get out of my position, because I was going to the same restaurants with 2 products now versus 1. And then 2 became 4, 4 became 8, and now we have 300-400 SKUs collectively as a company. But the startup cost, something that I never really calculated in the beginning. And you're right, it does take time to get that back, to recoup that, and then you hope to be with the brand long enough to get you out of that position. I mean, as a matter of fact, I remember early on, before we get to that story, I do want to say that today I brought with me a 2008 Alpha Estate. This is on your recommendation, by the way, so I want to thank you for back in the day when you had recommended that I pick up a few bottles of these wines because they were great. I didn't even work with Alpha Estate back then, but you were right. Everything I tried was exceptional. Aguilas is a fantastic winemaker, and I bought these and I held on to them. So I knew one day I would drink one of these bottles with you. So here I am today, probably 12 years later. Pulled this out of my cellar, and I'm going to share a glass with you today, or share the bottle if we can, if we got time for that.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Well, Alpha Estate is in my opinion, the the best, if not one of the best Greek wineries.
Yeah.
And what makes their winery great is obviously a vineyard that's planted and cultivated and maintained to produce a particular level of quality.
Yeah.
And you need a cellar, and you need winemakers.
And he seems to have it all in there.
And who are consistent. In other words, they don't produce, and I've seen, especially from Greece, but from other countries as well, you see a great release, and it's usually preempted by a marketing effort to get someone like Parker or whoever provide a rating. So they work up to producing a great product, and 2 years later they're back to where they were, and the product just loses credibility. Whereas,
of course,
Alpha has been consistent in not only maintaining but also improving the quality of what they produce. They don't play tricks in the cellar, and they end up with acquiring a stellar reputation all over the place. I find them, I've even found them at one of the finest dining establishments in Luxembourg, of all places.
Nice.
Like, you can see that they would be in places where there's a Greek diaspora.
Yeah.
But Luxembourg doesn't have too many Greeks.
No, I don't think so either, no. Cheers to
Okay,
this
well,
and a great vintage.
cheers.
To another 25 years. Looking ahead. I have a funny story to share.
And to much more success
Absolutely.
for what you've built. Needs to breathe it a little bit.
Yeah. That's an exceptional wine.
Yes,
Beautiful.
absolutely.
It's so
I-
elegant.
I have most of them in my cellar,
I believe you had all the vintage release when it
as,
came out.
as well as some of its siblings.
There you go. Good call. I mean, I do share a funny story about the early on days with aioli water when we first started. I remember your recommendation to me was try and get distributors to buy your water so that they can do kind of the heavy lifting, if you will, and then you can just go out and sell the product, which is what I was really good at. And so I ended up speaking with Empire Foods, that I think I introduced me to them back in the day, Peter said best and stuff. And I went to Empire Foods and I said, okay, Empire, here's the deal. I'm going to ship you guys the water directly, and then you guys can distribute while I go out and sell the water for us on our behalf, sort of thing. And in those days, because it was early on and we're just building contracts and all that stuff with the suppliers we worked with, I thought that the most expensive Greek word in the entire Greek language was dikioros, a lawyer, because when the legal bills come, they come fast and furious and they're really expensive. But in the end, they're always worth every penny that they're invoiced for. And then all of a sudden, we had ordered the first container to go to Empire Foods. And about a month goes by, my warehouse is now emptying out. And I get a call from Peter and he says, hey, Steve, where's this water that you promised me that I would have, I don't know, June 1st for the summertime sort of thing. And I said, Peter, I have no idea. I said, let me check it and find out. So I ended up calling, at the time I was working with Effie from Vista Maritime. And I ended up calling her and I said, hey, Effie, where's this container that we ordered for Empire Foods? And she's like, well, let me check and revert back. So she calls me back the next day and she goes, Steve, unfortunately, the container hasn't left yet. And I'm like, okay. I said, what's going on? What happened? She goes, Mr. Kriaris, there is an aperia at the Limani of Piraeus, and your container will not be leaving for another month. So basically, I didn't know what aperia was, and I said, Effie, what does aperia even mean? She's like, it means strike. There's a general strike at the port in Piraeus. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And she goes, no. So now aperia is the most expensive Greek word in the entire Greek language, because when you don't have product and you can't sell anything, that's the most costly adventure ever. So finally we got this container out of sometime in July or whenever it was, a little late for the summer, but anyhow, that's how that all started. And then eventually we got into more distributors, and today we now have, I think, 11 distributors that are buying the product and picking up or getting it from our warehouse and stuff, which is exciting. And you'll be glad to know that we now sell aioli to like various hotel groups, restaurant chains, consumers, retailers across the country, and it keeps growing. Oddly enough, the brand just keeps growing. I know it's been 25 years of building the brand, but it just keeps growing, which is exciting. And every year, it just seems that more and more people are used to the brand or know the brand or trust the quality of it, and it keeps increasing for us, which is exciting. And recently, they got acquired by the two Swedish brothers who were investors and stuff. And since that's occurred, it's freed my hands to kind of really grow the brand, because they were able to get us production faster, accurate pricing for the market, invest in the industry, in the category as well, which has been exciting in the brand, which is something that we were lacking for many years from Athenian Breweries. And that's helped grow the brand as well, and onwards and upwards sort of thing. And from there, we expanded into multiple beverage brands.
I suspect the other reason that this brand and other brands, Greek brands, are growing in this market is because there's, I know Air Canada transports 250,000 Canadians to Greece every year.
Okay.
So they are exposed
to a lot of Greek products,
to the better Greek products.
Yeah.
So when they come back and they see it, then they know what it is. It's a known quantity.
Yeah.
And they buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we can also say that today Greece's gastronomy right now is becoming very popular. I want to say it's possibly the next Spain or the next Italy that's out in the market, or the next France for that matter. And people really seem to enjoy anything coming out of Greece, and especially Greek food has become very popular. So in that sense, I expect nothing but more success for a multitude of Greek brands.
I think Greek food Greek gastronomy was always highly rated. nobody complained about getting bad food in Greece.
That's true, yeah.
The problem was that the Greek producers and manufacturers weren't terribly sophisticated. They weren't producing or adhering to, global packaging and manufacturing
Standards, et cetera, yeah.
standards. Whereas now the industry has become much more professionalized in Greece. You do get consistent products,
Yep.
from wherever you get it from in Greece. They know how to do it. Their packaging stands up to being on a boat for 2-3 weeks and being transported across the country. So the country has become more sophisticated, and as a result, it's a lot easier for you to promote when you're taking it out to the market. I remember one. It wasn't this product, but I remember one particular product that came in, and the bottles were breaking when you opened them.
Cheap glass, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. Substandard materials probably back then came from Bulgaria or wherever it was. But again, those producers didn't meet the global standards of manufacturing. Yeah, no big deal if you shipped it a couple of miles down the road, but your packaging has to withstand the international transport.
Of course. One thing I wanted to ask you about was young entrepreneurs today. What advice do you have for them when they're starting out, both from a legal standpoint and from a personal standpoint? And I say this because, we talk about lawyers all the time in many different conversations, many different circles, and a lot of times lawyers are just looked upon as like that, that legal counsel, everything's on paper, as we talked about earlier, and it's all just about the numbers and words and, dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure everything's okay. But the reality is, knowing you for many years and dealing with yourself and John Kriaris and many other great lawyers, I realize that your personal approach to me is probably what has helped me grow and understand my business better. It wasn't just about you can't do this or you can't do that sort of thing, or here's your legal contract, sign it or don't sign it sort of thing. You always gave me a personal side to everything that we were doing and the decisions we were making as a company, and for me personally, right? Because obviously it affects me personally when I make a decision. So what is your, I want to say, your magic touch that you have when it comes to young entrepreneurs getting into the business today?
Lawyers are advisors.
Okay.
Consultants. And it's important to select, in anything you do in life, somebody who knows the industry you're in or what it is you want to be doing, enjoys it,
okay,
has a respect of colleagues, but also customers and suppliers. And that gives them the ability to provide a value add. Nothing to do with my business to introduce you to, wines I like.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But the fact that, it's something I have an interest in, enabled me. And it wasn't just, this single product, or it's everything else you mentioned earlier, steering you away from ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay. That comes from industry experience.
Yeah.
So having an advisor who understands the industry you want to play in is invaluable. Well,
of course.
Let's put it this way: it will save you a lot of money.
In the long run, it does. Yes.
Well, save you a lot of money. Yeah, in any run, it'll save you a lot of money because it'll avoid you. If you're going to build, even a fast food restaurant today, you're going to spend $750,000 or more.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
And if it fails, that's money down the drain, family, board money, whatever. So avoiding those kinds of mistakes can save you a lot early on as well.
Yes, you told me that many years ago. It's better to spend money up front and understand what you're doing before you get into some of the businesses, because you never know what the outcome can be.
Absolutely. And the other thing a lot of people tend to think is that if you're dealing with a large corporation, you got to sign what they give you.
Yeah.
And and you've been through it, and you know that if you ask for something reasonable, commercially reasonable, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't in this market, they wanted to be in this market. You offer them the opportunity to be in this market, and you demonstrated that you were responsible, and they allowed you to they helped you succeed.
Yeah.
It was a win-win. Whatever you do in life, if it's not win-win, then
For both sides, yeah.
exactly, it's not worth doing.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned restaurants. I know that as a firm, Sotos LLP is arguably the best franchise law firm in Canada.
I'd like to say that we're the largest for sure.
Okay, we'll call you the largest and the best franchise, and you're also the top trademark lawyers as well.
Yeah.
Which kind of go hand in hand with the whole
that's
franchise
right.
setup and stuff. Yeah.
That's the foundation of any franchise
Yes.
brand.
Yeah, and I think it's also, you talked about win-win for both sides. I know I've spoken to many people over the last 25 years, but your name comes up in many conversations, especially when you're in the industry of the restaurants and that type of industry, and they always say that you are the most fair for the franchisee, which is usually your client, the franchisor, which is usually your client, and the franchisee, that both of them get a fair, deal out of the situation. Because many people always get the franchisee to be the one to have the controlling hand over everything, and it's never fair for the franchise.
Look, there's the economic aspect of a franchise and the legal aspect of the franchise. Okay, on the legal side, the franchisor has to have control.
Yeah.
Because a franchisor should control the brand. If they don't control the brand, then it's not going to be a brand that anybody would want to buy. So they need to have control. Then you got the economic side. And the economic side has to provide benefits for both.
Okay.
And we see a lot of startups that come in and they say, well, I want a franchise. And the first thing I want to see is their financial statement. Not one prepared by themselves, but a reputable professional firm. And although I'm not an accountant, I want to see that there is a bottom line that's generated by the existing business that is sufficiently large to enable both the franchisor and the franchisee to be rewarded for their efforts and their capital.
Of course.
And if it isn't there, I tell them, and everybody this first tells them, go away, fix the problem, and then come back when you've fixed the problem.
When it makes
you
sense.
have too many menu items, or your retail pricing is inadequate, or your cost of goods is too high. Any number of factors that create an inadequate, or it may be a bad business model. That too is that too happens. So that's what we advise them to do. And I can't tell you how many I see 6 months later are out in this show or the other selling franchises when clearly their underlying business does not support the franchise model.
I guess their theory is just sell more units and that'll solve everything, but it doesn't.
Well, it depends what your objective is. If your objective is to actually build a brand and be around for the long term, grow to 75, 100 units, whatever, and then sell or whatever you're going to do. If your objective is to just get as much cash in as you can until the market figures out that it's not a viable,
of course,
a viable concept, then it's a short-sighted strategy, and it doesn't satisfy the win-win strategy that we follow. Look, at the end of the day, unless something works, it's going to stop.
Yes,
at some point. So what do you want to be? Do you want to be running from one concept to the other and rebuilding something and promoting and just selling, or do you want to build something enduring that keeps adding as time goes on? And
speaking of enduring, you introduced me very early on when I first started to Jim Antonopoulos.
Yes,
from the Jimmy the Greek.
Jimmy the Greek, yeah.
Jimmy the Greek, and then we had started with the Penelope restaurant, if you remember those, down on King Street,
Right.
which was arguably one of our first ever accounts, I think, at the time, 25 years ago. And then from there, we started working with the Jimmy the Greek chain, which today I think has 50 locations now,
Oh, more than that.
maybe 60 locations, and they're
Yeah, I
growing.
don't remember. It's a significant number.
It's a significant number, yeah.
all
And-
across Canada.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we're still working with them today. So another great thank you for the introduction from back then. And they're an amazing group to work with, you know. And I think that's an example of what you're saying about how if the franchise works for both sides and everybody's happy, it's a marathon run, and they just keep working for them. And the family's been growing now. They're into the third generation.
That's right.
The grandchildren are both now working full time in running the company, which is great. And that's been really successful. I'm hoping to get them on the show as well, by the way. So I'm going to try my luck to get the Antonopoulos family, at least the younger generation, onto the show. So I'll be inviting them to get onto the show and be my guest at some point soon enough.
You asked me, but what makes, or you didn't ask, but alluded to what makes, what's a sign of a successful franchise system? It's one where you don't have franchisees rotating out of the system frequently, and you have franchisees that have been with a system for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years.
That's a long time.
But that tells you that the system is successful. Also, systems where you have franchisees owning multiple locations.
Yeah,
Again, that tells you it's a successful concept.
absolutely.
And I mean, those are little industry secrets that we can tell pretty quickly. But for the uninitiated, it's difficult to evaluate.
That's for sure. And if I can just kind of go away from the whole legal side and franchise side, from a philanthropic side, for the 30 years I've known you, you've been a huge supporter of many of the Greek organizations within our community, HHF, the THI right now, the Hellenic Initiative.
Founder of both.
Yes. Congratulations to that, yeah. And they're both here successfully many years later and growing. And now you're actively in the THI, I believe, the Hellenic Initiative.
Yeah, I'm founder and co-president of the Hellenic Initiative Canada.
Nice, very nice. And I've been to quite a few of the events. Have been very successful. You've had quite a few big names at some of your events as well as guest speakers, which is quite amazing. You have a few you want to mention that you've had on the show or at the events you've carried? Prem Watsa was at one of the events we did.
Prem Watsa was, one of our early supporters.
Yeah.
And Eldorado Gold, which has large operation in Greece, has been a big supporter. George Paspalis, Mag Silver. So I don't know why the mining industry seems to like us. This is on the Canadian side. From Greece, the Mytilineos group has also been a big supporter. We are, Air Canada has been a sponsor, and the Athens airport as well.
Excellent.
Has been a sponsor from Greece. Quite a few of our Canadian companies have obviously been supporting. We had the publisher of Kathimerini be the keynote speaker of our dinner last year. I know you couldn't make it because you had the trade show that day.
It fell on the exact same day. I tried to change it, but there was no way of changing it.
Well, we even tried to do a wine tasting at our event, but we just couldn't. We couldn't do it. But this year it's on November 3rd, so it's 2 weeks away from the trade show.
We'll be there, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm expecting.
That's our annual Greek Wine Week that we do in October. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So I'm expecting you there. We're bringing. Veering away, we're having a one-day concert at Place d'Art in Montreal.
Oh, nice.
With Alkistis Protopsalti.
Very nice.
And this is the only event she's doing in Canada.
Excellent.
Basically, she's coming for the Hellenic Initiative.
It's fantastic.
So we hope to see. We have to have 1,400 seats filled, and then we have our annual Delphi Toronto Economic Forum,
which is another great event.
Yeah, which is November 3rd. before our dinner.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we're no shortage of
I look forward to being to those as well. Yeah.
good
That's for
things
sure.
that are happening. The purpose of the Hellenic Initiative Canada is to support Greece and those in need in Greece. We started with literally feeding the hungry.
Yeah.
During the deepest days of the crisis, we've moved on to to the elderly now, but we're supporting. We're looking for and supporting niche charities. So, for example, we have one of our mini projects is to fund the delivery of medical services,
Okay.
basically doctors' visits
Yeah.
to expecting mothers in remote islands
Wow. Okay.
in Greece. And, so far, they basically do monthly visits, and, we provide, blood pressure cuffs and things like that so they can self-monitor. So the idea being that they don't have to leave their remote island to go somewhere else, have the baby, and then never come back. And so far we've delivered, actually, we just a week ago, we sent something out. We've delivered our 15th baby.
Congratulations.
Sorry, actually, was it twins? I don't remember. But certainly, so we're doing these very
That's
niche
amazing
projects,
what you're
but also
It's totally amazing.
doing things with the environment. For the environment, we've got a major project we're funding this summer that basically hires university students in Thessalia, where the floods were a couple of years ago, to basically clear bush and
Amazing.
restore the environment
Amazing.
to its prior condition.
What I'll do is at the bottom of our podcast when we post this, I'm going to put links to both HHF and to the THI for those who want to learn more and stuff, and maybe be a part of it, or join, or promote, sponsor, donate, etc.
That's wonderful. We have vibrant because THI is basically all across Canada.
Yeah.
We have vibrant. We call them new leaders, the under 35 crowd.
Nice.
In Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and we're expanding them.
Fantastic.
So a lot of interest in what we're doing. A lot of people want to support the work we're doing, but they also want to meet each other. And if you can help showcase your products
Absolutely.
at some of these events, that'd be great.
Absolutely, would love to. Any support we can give is always going to be there for you, anytime. That's for sure.
Much.
And a big thank you personally, in person right now, just for everything you've done in the last 30 years of my life, because you've really been like I want to say like a lighthouse, if you will, in many ways. When I would wander off with my crazy ideas or thoughts and stuff, you kind of just slap me aside the head and just say, "Sit down, kid. This is not going to happen this way."
There was no slapping.
Well, not physically, no, but I mean, over the phone or email, you kind of realigned me over dinner one night and stuff. And that
We used to do our
annual birthday dinners, yeah.
That's right.
We're both Libras in October.
Yes,
That's right, yeah.
Correct.
And so you owe me a dinner in October, since it's your big one.
I'd be happy to.
I would love that as well. John, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. Thank you all for being part of our podcast. It's been great, and I look forward to another 25 years of success with you. Thank you so much.
Terrific.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Every day.
All the best.
Thank you, John.